Welcome back to What She Said Sports Lunch and Stream podcast series. All right, so we're going to give it a moment for people to join us. We're at lunch. Give people time to catch on. Now, while we wait, first I want to say congratulations to JuJu. Uh, JuJu from Colorado, JuJu Lewis, Julia Lewis, graduated high school at 17 years old, taking three extra online courses and three extra courses online in the summers to be able to graduate. He shouted out his school for doing what they needed to do to make sure he could take those classes and graduate early. They didn't hold him back. I shout out to Carrollton High School. I think that's excellent. And I feel like anybody that is that dedicated and diligent to getting to the next level is going to be a star. So I have no doubt that Julian will be a star. Shout out to Darius from Reach the People Media for being the reporter shadowing Lewis on his graduation weekend and his Lamborghini. I love the interview style. I love the photography. I love everything about it. Shout out to Darius. So when quarterbacks are talked about, as young as JuJu is, still being 17, just completed high school, to be honest, he's already in the conversation. He's already in the conversation. So we have this young man affixed in our minds. But before JuJu comes out of Colorado, we actually have Caden Salter, who came from Liberty, who's a dual threat phenom. That young man is scrappy and he can get it done. But he's coming out next. And y'all know we are also in the midst of a series where we're talking about Shedeur Sanders' journey to the NFL. I'm trying not to give something away. Well, we're talking about Shedeur Sanders' journey to a 53-man roster and how that's working out after the abysmal public humiliation, the plot to humiliate him in the 2025 draft. So congratulations to JuJu. Caden, we see you. I don't think either of our buffs are ranked, but we don't worry about rankings. We really don't. We don't worry about rankings, just like we didn't care about those mock drafts. We really didn't. And those mock drafts, that had Shedeur predicted first round until like late in the process. Here's the thing. We don't care about rankings. We care about talent. We care about our guys getting the job done. We do. We care about wins and losses. We care about wins and losses, but we don't care about what a group of people thinks about CU. We don't. And CU has proven they can get it done. I see them going back to a bowl game and winning the Big 12 championship. Let's just be honest. CU is building up the trenches, and we have stars at QB that was just like the QB star that left. And what I said about Shedeur is that, scouts coming out to CU clearly, didn't have their eyes open or went back and reported what they saw, and leadership at these NFL teams just chose to ignore it because they're going to hear the same thing about Caden Salter: strong arm, mobility, pocket present. It's the same thing. Deep ball accuracy. Every one of CU's quarterbacks have excellent, phenomenal deep ball accuracy. It's not even a question. That's what people ask if Colorado is building wide receiver U, two-way U. Now it's quarterback U. Because I saw a post yesterday and I didn't get to address it because I wasn't 100% certain as to who was in it, but I know who it was. Do y'all know who Keelan Russell is? Keelan Russell is a quarterback at Alabama A&M. And I like him as a quarterback. He came out, would he come out of Duncanville High School in Texas? If you are familiar with Texas football in the Dallas area, Texas might be huge. San Antonio, Austin, Cam Waters from West Columbia, Texas, which is not a very big place. But then the big places that you hear about, Dallas, Fort Worth. Caden Salter is from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Went to Cedar Hill. Duncanville is where Keelan Russell is from. So all these guys know each other, especially if they came out of the Texas area or they played on the college level. They played each other in college, etc. So a lot of these guys know each other. Hold on one second, guys. A lot of these guys know each other, and you know they're not a stranger to each other. You can't pit them apart. These guys know each other. They either played on the same side, played friendly rivalries in college, high school, or whatever. So there was a post somebody posted yesterday. I think it was a quarterback, and it looked like they were at a car dealership. If y'all saw this post on Life in Football, Collins page, let me know who this quarterback was, because I felt like it was Keelan Russell, but I could be wrong. Whoever the quarterback was or the player was, they were wearing a Coach Prime t-shirt. So mind you, somebody's at the dealership getting a new car. It looked like the person was buying a car for their mom. But then again, mom could have bought a car for her son. I don't really know what was going on. I was moving too fast yesterday. And Colin pointed out, look at that Coach Prime shirt. I was like, wait a minute. Is this Keelan Russell? I don't know. I'm not trying to start no rumors. But Keelan Russell, I think, gave a look to CU, but he chose Alabama. So that might not be him. I'm speculating here. I don't have a problem with saying I'm speculating. And if that was Keelan Russell, maybe it wasn't. But if it was, come on home. That's all I'm saying. Because he's too good of a quarterback to be in some quarterback controversy at Alabama. Now, y'all saw what Milroe went through. And because I researched Milroe already, we're going to talk about Milroe today because I looked at the depth chart for Seattle. Ain't no stopping us now. That's just how it's going to go. It's a lot of good happening. It's a lot of good happening, and some things are going to happen that's going to show y'all that although the NFL tried to stop Shedeur's celebrity, that's not happening. See, you got to be able to control what you can control. When we talked about Cleveland, what did we say? The main thing is the main thing. When you went to the draft, the main problem you had was your O-line, and that's what you should have fixed. I stand by it. And the NFL out here trying to push Shedeur down out of existence and ruin his reputation by defaming him and his celebrity by trying to smother him, drafting him late, and also trying to keep him from the QB1 position. Control what you can control, NFL, and that ain't what you can control. You can't control trying to hurt, Coach Prime's recruiting. You can't control what we think about Coach Prime. You can't control his influence. You're not going to stop players from going to see you. You're not. You're not going to stop Shedeur's fans from celebrating him. Matter of fact, I read an article that said Shedeur is not only a fan favorite, he's a favorite in the locker room. He has aura. Shedeur Sanders and Duke Dennis. What did I say? You put these two brothers in a room. You let Duke Dennis. If I know you be in Atlanta sometime because I ran into him. I know. I think they might be in New York. They everywhere. Y'all know AMP. Kai Sinat, Duke Dennis, his crew. If Duke Dennis shows up at a Cleveland football game, it's over. People gonna be asking, who is that? He and Shedeur are friends. They were on the sideline at the NFL flag football game, talking about who has the most aura. Duke Dennis told Shedeur he got it. Shedeur was asking a question to RG. Y'all know the guy that does the skits with LeBron coming in the locker room. He was also on the sideline. It is over if they show up at a Cleveland game. That's all I'm gonna say. Talk about aura through the roof. Duke Dennis and Shedeur Sanders. You don't know who Duke Dennis is? Please Google him. So the NFL not stopping Shedeur's celebrity, and the fact that they keep using I Show Speed for his celebrity, but then trying to shun Shedeur's celebrity, it exposes them. It exposes them that they clearly want their black players to be unknowns. That they want them to be the average person next door. They don't want them to be celebrated for their fame and everything that they have amassed up to the NFL, which is why y'all heard that person in the locker room saying, forget everything before today. And I said, what? No. You bring your experience with you. You were selected and drafted for your winning experience. Everybody except Shedeur. And everybody except Shedeur. So, it's a lot happening out here. The lawsuit has moved forward. I think the other day I reported that the one that we know about with the John Doe, we reported the other day that they requested discovery, targeted discovery. And when the request was made, there should be a timetable with it. We need you to gather all these text messages, emails, and everything relative to Shedeur Sanders from a time period in 2024 to like, I think I saw maybe to like 2025, but right before the draft. I personally would have got everything for the draft year 2024, post draft. I would have went post draft to 2025. That's what I would have done. But you never know about these things. So they asked for everything, text messages, emails. Y'all know Shedeur Sanders' phone number was sent out in an email to 2,000 people who did not need to know on 32 NFL teams, including the Cleveland Browns. And clearly people were making fun of him because it had a waiver wire attached that he's going to be cut. Ha, ha, ha. We're going to see who laughing. We're going to see who laughing. And I told y'all, I don't think that's the only one. I think that's the one that gets talked about. People file lawsuits every day and you don't hear about them. So it's moving. It's moving forward. And here's the thing. You can't just write a letter saying, I want you to send me the emails, text messages, and all the documentation pertaining to Shedeur Sanders' draft process. Hopefully that includes that playbook that they said Shedeur failed. So if they requested text messages, if they requested emails, if they requested documentation and everything pertaining to Shedeur Sanders regarding the NFL draft process, which I hope includes scouting, I hope it includes scouting profiles. This could be huge because then I'm assuming at some point, just like we heard about Diddy's lawsuit, we heard about what was in Cassie's lawsuit, right? Her response was 30 some odd pages and it was public information as to what happened. We heard about the incident with the hotel video. Then we saw the video. That person had to testify in court. So what starts out as a lawsuit, as a filing, which is a complaint, can one is public. It's public information. Two, as it grows and people start to talk more, and there are consequences. What if they don't turn over the information at the time permitted? This, that, and the other. What if they don't turn over all the information? And then the information that is turned over, does that become public? Will the public get to see that? And if we do, if we get to see any of that discovery, which I don't think until you go to trial, that's probably not going to come until you go to trial. But the point is, if we get to see anything, this gonna be huge. Because what did I say? I said the text messages are going to be, I don't know, bombshell. The things that they have text to each other, that they have said to each other, that they have documented to Shedeur, the decision to collude against him, the decision for him to go to Cleveland, all of that has to be documented because the discovery is targeted to documentation, text messages, emails, etc., pertaining to who? Shedeur Sanders in the draft. So that means the Saints that met with Shedeur, what you got? Let me get it. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, what he thought about Shedeur, what they decided to do, why they decided to go away from Shedeur should be documented. The Cleveland Browns, why they decided to draft Shedeur. Why were they so condescending in the beginning? What did they talk about? What was their draft strategy pertaining to Shedeur? Because they met with him extensively, all documented. And then there's the New York Giants. Excuse me. I feel like the connection of the prank coming out of the New York Giants organization, the GM, their decisions, their scouting team, and they just elevated a lot of new people to scouting. I think they dismissed maybe their old somebody else, a former GM, not the one that's supposedly on the hot seat for fumbling Saquon Barkley, but the one that I don't know, used to be with them or whatever. But they moving some people around. Let's put it that way. And I did look into, they elevated a lot of scouts. And I think 3 or 4 that were elevated were black. So the scouting documents gonna be interesting because I have been asking. Now, what is it that scouts do? Because you have me asking. When you have me asking, I'm gonna get the answer. Didn't y'all go to see you like a lot? Didn't y'all go to pro day? Didn't y'all watch him at the Shrine Bowl? Did the Giants ask him not to play at the Shrine Bowl? Did the Cleveland Browns not ask him not to play at the Shrine Bowl? Yeah, I'm gonna need to see what y'all wrote down about him because why is Cleveland, who met with Shedeur extensively, because they told us twice, Stefanski and Barry, why you don't know that he has a strong arm? Why are you impressed by that? You should be like, we made a good choice. But since you didn't draft him, you can't say that. Now you're trying to justify why you drafted him out of the 5th round. Because Andrew Berry said on the 3rd day of the draft when he came to work, a reporter asked him what was he thinking, knowing Shedeur Sanders was still on the board. He didn't go, ooh, it's like going to Hermes and getting a Birkin for $10. That's not what he said. He said, well, we just gonna wait and see how low he go. I can't wait to see the documentation that come out of Cleveland. Because I know the text messages, the emails, and anything else. Because when they were in that green room looking like, oh, damn. There was some kind of communication happening. And if the owner wasn't right there sitting next to Andrew Berry whispering in his ear, draft him, it had to be communicated by a phone call, a text messages, an email, or I don't know, a pigeon. I don't really care, but it had to be communicated. And then after it was communicated, people felt a certain way. Some people might have took to their phone, their company issued devices. God damn it, we had to get Shedeur Sanders. We haven't seen Andrew Berry at all. Maybe he on vacation. Maybe, you know, maybe he on vacation. Maybe he buying him a new house. Speaking of buying new houses, congratulations to Cam Ward for signing his fully guaranteed $43 or $7 million contract. What people were saying in the comments, in addition to self-included, congratulations to Cam, because we friends with Cam Ward, even though we think sometimes he's a little salty to the point of jealousy against Shedeur, and we get it. Shedeur grew up rich. He didn't. Well, now he rich because his contract as a rookie is fully guaranteed, like Deshaun Watson's. And no, I'm not letting it go. Deshaun Watson's contract as a veteran is the only veteran QB veteran QB contract fully guaranteed. Rookie's Caleb Williams contract as a rookie was fully guaranteed. So now he's wealthy. So maybe he'll lay off the saltiness because now he in the rich black guys club. So I think they call it what, the billionaire club or something like that, the billionaire boys or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it's something like that. But in this case, highlighting the fact that Shedeur was already wealthy, young black man, young, gifted, and black. And same thing with Cam Ward, young, gifted, black, and wealthy. So congratulations to Cam. Congratulations to Julian. The lawsuit is moving forward. Let's talk about Jalen Milroe. All right, let me see if I can share the depth chart. So I have the depth chart from Seattle. And excuse me one second, trying to get my monitor to align to what we're looking at here. All right. Hit the like button for me, please. Half the people hit the like button. I really want to do a study on why it is that y'all don't hit the like button. Hit the like button, please. We don't know who you are. We you know, if you want to remain anonymous, you still anonymous. Hit the like button. Thank you. Thank you so much. So the depth chart. Let's see. I'll just go ahead and share it from right here. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and share the depth chart so y'all can see it because I want to point out something. I want to point out something. Okay. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Here we go. All right, so on the depth chart. All right. Now, y'all heard me talk about 17 to 32, and I want to address Shady McCoy, who I like, by the way. I respect Shady McCoy. I don't know him personally, but I like the fact that he has the courage to speak the truth. Shady McCoy talked about how the owners, the Cleveland Browns and NFL are playing this game about, they know Shedeur Sanders is talented, but they want to give Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett the reps or something like that. And Shady McCoy's like, I don't know why we playing this game. The NFL just need to admit it. Okay, you tried to teach him a lesson. Let's move on and let's let him start or give him the reps in camp, etc. But it was the part where Shady said, you're trying to teach him a lesson. Okay, phrases like that let the NFL off the hook. And it ignores what happened, the same thing happening to Lamar Jackson, or the public humiliation of CJ Stroud test results, Lamar Jackson's test results. What it does is it minimizes the discrimination that Black QBs face in the NFL draft, one of which is devaluing them, something we saw with Shedeur Sanders. The trend that I've seen, that I've been pointed out, is their public humiliation in the draft. And if they make it to the NFL, whether they're devalued or not, one of the reasons Warren Moon went to Canada, and that tells you how far this goes back. Shedeur Sanders is drafted in 2025. Warren Moon went to Canada to escape being devalued in the late 70s because the NFL does not respect the intellect of Black players. In fact, it's documented when Warren Moon was coming out of college, the NFL basically said he lacked the intellectual capacity as a Black athlete to be a quarterback. That's huge. That is huge. And out of that targeted discovery, it wouldn't surprise me if there are text messages, probably emails, because that's the same communication style they use for Shedeur Sanders to send out his phone number to everybody. 1,900 to 2,000 people associated with 32 teams, including the equipment manager. That's how they like to make fun. Email. So those emails are going to be interesting. They might think that they're smart enough to say, don't use the text messages, use email. No. No. Because if I find a computer that had Yahoo on it in the late 90s and it doesn't turn on or off, but I take it to the Geek Squad and they turn it on, guess what I'm going to get? Or if I remove the hard drive and I can hook it up to a device specifically designed to retrieve information from a hard drive, I can read those emails. Yahoo servers held the emails, subpoena the Yahoo servers. I don't give a damn if you go back to AOL. They probably just were bought by somebody else. So essentially, what I'm saying is they seem to like to use email. That's the first place I'm looking. And since it was included in the targeted discovery, since they used the public humiliation throughout the NFL's time when it comes to Black quarterbacks, the late 70s, before that, banning Black NFL players from becoming quarterbacks 9 decades ago. You have to wonder what they were saying about when Josh Allen made it to the next level towards the Super Bowl, and what they were saying when Lamar Jackson didn't. You have to wonder the types of things they were saying when Lamar Jackson, when Isaac Newsom traded up into the first round on his way out, his last duty as a GM for the Ravens, traded up into the first round to get Lamar Jackson so he wouldn't keep sliding which was public humiliation. Public humiliation is a tactic that they have been using. It can be proven. It is a pattern going all the way back to saying that Black athletes lack the intellectual capacity to be quarterbacks, all the way back and proven. All the way back. There are no gaps here. If I can go back to 9 decades ago to when Black athletes were banned from being quarterbacks, and I can prove that in the 70s, Doug Williams, Warren Moon having to go to Canada. How many people said Shedeur Sanders should go to Canada? So Warren Moon went to Canada so he wouldn't be devalued in a draft. What did we watch Shedeur Sanders in 2025 do? Be devalued in the draft. Warren Moon went to Canada, balled out there. But why did he go to Canada? Because the NFL said, coming out of college as a quarterback, which meant he was proven that he lacked the intellectual capacity to be a quarterback because he's Black, even though he was successful in Washington. So he had to go to Canada and prove himself first, and now come on to the NFL. How many people say Shedeur need to go ahead on and go to Canada and play? If he go, we're following. So essentially, the NFL is doing the same thing that they did to what they did to Shedeur in 2025, devaluing him, that they did to Warren Moon. There are stories about Doug Williams after he won the Super Bowl, how he was treated. Remember, only one team wanted to even look his way. So I'm telling y'all, the pattern in the history and the discrimination against Black quarterbacks going all the way back to 9 decades ago when they were banned. They weren't banned from playing football in the NFL. They were banned specifically from being quarterbacks, the leaders of the team, the most important position on the team, the king. So if you made it to an NFL quarterback, you likely, if you were Black, you had been through some things, whether it was in college and you made it to the NFL. And then when you made it to the NFL, if like Geno Smith and Tyrod Taylor, you didn't get moved all around. So you had to keep learning new systems. Every time you move, you got to learn a new system. So they kept them moving around. And when that didn't work, because they're still ascending, here come Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud. What are they doing? Making fun of their mental aptitude test by passing it around, probably by email, because email was out when Lamar Jackson and CJ Stroud, making fun of it to the point where CJ Stroud's agency wrote a letter. Is that why CJ Stroud got sacked so much in year 2? Because his agency wrote a letter reprimanding the NFL about that incident, saying that test had no bearing on proving whether CJ Stroud could be a quarterback. And guess what? They had a test when it was Lamar Jackson before CJ Stroud called the Wonderlic test that they had to do away with because they did the same thing to Lamar Jackson, and it was documented. It was documented on video because by then, hell, video was out. Maybe in the 70s, Warren Moon wasn't documented on video, but it's documented on paper or now from paper to digital transmission. The pattern has lasted from the time 9 decades ago that Black NFL quarterbacks were banned to Shedeur Sanders being devalued because he chose not to go to Canada, but to stay on his path. Because why should you let somebody push you off your path? They got pushed off their path if it wasn't Canada and you chose to come to the NFL and then you got devalued in the draft. Before that, they wanted to switch you off to wide receiver. And when you didn't switch off to wide receiver, like Lamar Jackson, you got publicly humiliated in the draft, like Shedeur Sanders. Public humiliation is a tactic that they have been using. If they couldn't ban them, switch them off to wide receiver, devaluing them regardless. And then if you stayed, your mental aptitude test was proper. We're going to make fun of that. And then when we got flagged for badly discriminating against Black NFL, Black quarterbacks in the NFL draft, We're going to go ahead on and draft Caleb Williams, who's trying to dodge the NFL with all of his might. We're going to go ahead and draft Jaden Daniels. We're going to go ahead and draft in the first round Michael Penix Jr. But then what? Caleb Williams, Heisman winner. They got to fix him. Jada Daniels, seemingly like Cam Ward, escapes. Cam Ward has escaped the 2025 draft of being devalued and publicly humiliated. But Jalen Milroe and Shedeur Sanders did not. Michael Penix Jr. escaped the public humiliation in the 2024 draft, but got bitched in Atlanta behind an older, waning in talent, Kirk Cousins. So it's always something, but the public humiliation, the ostracization, the discrimination from 9 decades ago to Shedeur Sanders. So when Shady McCoy says that, okay, so you just want to teach the young fella a lesson. No. Because what lesson did they want to teach Lamar Jackson? What lesson did they want to teach CJ Stroud? What lesson did they want to teach Caleb Williams? What lesson did they want to teach Michael Penix Jr.? What lesson did they want to teach maybe Michael Vick? What lesson did they want to teach Warren Moon? What lesson did they want to teach Doug Williams? And we are continuing to explore. Y'all can join us at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when Shady McCoy says they just want to teach the young fella a lesson, no. What's hiding is what could possibly come out in the emails, the text messages, and the documentation, the Scouting report, the targeted discovery, that the NFL did not want Shedeur Sanders to become the 17th Black starting QB1 in the NFL. And people are like, what about Milroe and Cam? That's why Cam is 16. Because if Shedeur had gone at 16, what lie and story am I going to tell to devalue Cam Ward? You can't. It wouldn't make sense. People would look at you if you devalued and snubbed all three. So you had to pick somebody. And they chose before the NFL draft. They chose before the combine. On or about before April 20th, the NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders. They already had their plot together. Roger Goodell to Shedeur, I'm worried about your dad. February 8th, 9th, the weekend of the Super Bowl. It's documented. Wait, what? Why are you worried about my dad? Look how he got done in the draft. The plot was already out there. Emails, text messages. Who said what to whom? It's documented. The plan was already in place before the combine. So all of the defamation, the cocky, his hat back was pointing out things, nitpicking this, that, and the other. It's because there was a plan to devalue Shedeur Sanders and push him as far away from the first round as possible. Because even if he had gone second round like Jalen Hurts, he could also become QB1. So you're looking at this depth chart because I said the NFL did all of that and they were successful. Instead of Shedeur becoming the 17th QB1, taken in the first round or any round that he could ascend to QB1, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Jalen Milroe got pushed down to later rounds, but here he is as QB2 on this depth chart. Something they did not want Shedeur Sanders to be in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin was advised to draft Shedeur Sanders at QB2 and put him behind Aaron Rodgers. Why did he have to be drafted as QB2? Why was that designation there? Why did the insider tell Mel Kiper Jr.? The NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now. Time frame. What is it about now? This was always the draft from last draft, which is why I'm glad they requested discovery from last draft. This was always the draft. That the three elite QBs that were Black that will go in the first round, who turned out to be Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Jalen Milroe. Just like in the 2024 draft, 3 elite QBs went in the first round. They didn't want that to happen this round. That's why you heard Jackson Dart had to keep sneaking up. And we were like, if he good, why is he sneaking? They didn't care if he was good or not. But they weren't going to let it be Shedeur and Milroe. I told you Milroe got snubbed too. Why? Because they're black elite quarterbacks and they both can be QB1, just like the last class. So when people saw the last class, they saw Caleb, Jaden, and Penix all top 10. That's not what they were traditionally seeing with quarterbacks. If you look at Lamar Jackson's class, he should have been up there with him, but they kept him to 32. They didn't want him up there. For one, that's the money list. That's the most money. And two, he clearly was going to start, and I think he did anyway, and had a unanimous MVP after everything they did to him. Understand, what they did to Lamar Jackson was talked about, just like what happened to Shedeur, but Shedeur's was twice or 3 times that. One, because they dragged Coach Prime into it. They didn't drag Lamar Jackson's family into it. Some people felt like what happened to Lamar Jackson was because his mom was his manager and maybe he didn't have a traditional agent, but I think maybe he did. So it wasn't that. It was about what happened to black quarterbacks before him. So Milroe sitting at number 2 on this depth chart, they believe drafting Shedeur at QB2 to Pittsburgh or Milroe at QB2 to Seattle means that they cannot ascend to number 1. Just like they believe, they wholeheartedly believe that Shedeur Sanders being what I say he was going to be an undrafted free agent or a late round draft pick, the 5th round, keeping him off the board like the owners colluded against. That's already obvious. That's not even a question. That's proven. It's already been discussed. That's what they're going to say. Boomer Esiason has dementia or something? No. They believe that because Shedeur was actually picked in the 5th round, regardless forced to or not, but because that was the position of him in the draft, oh, he'll never start. What are we hearing this week and last week? Shedeur Sanders can start. Shedeur Sanders can start. And it's crazy to me that you think because you put Jalen Milroe in second behind Sam Darnold, that there's absolutely no way he can ascend to QB1. You think because you put an elite QB1 first round QB and you try to defame him so people won't think he's good, that when you push him down to the 5th round and collude against him, that there's absolutely no way, because he went 144, there's absolutely no way Shedeur Sanders could emerge as the best quarterback in Cleveland. What has happened? So you're not looking at their talent. You're looking at their skin color, because it's stupid if you look at their talent to think, as good as they are, that if you pigeonhole them late and devalue them late, that they have no chance of rising. That's what you think. And that is the most flawed strategy ever, because I can assure you Sam Darnold's a little nervous. Just because you overpay maybe, or maybe he's worth his money, it don't matter. Just because you pay Sam Darnold $100 million does not guarantee, 1, he won't get injured, and 2, that he's better than Milroe. Because if he get injured and Milroe start, guess what's going to happen? If he starts off and it don't work out and Milroe has to get in, guess what's going to happen? The same thing that happened when Russell Wilson was berated in Denver and they kept saying he was trash. Russell Wilson went to Pittsburgh as a QB2 and was supposed to be a QB2. But Mike Tomlin, for whatever reason, made the decision to start Russell Wilson. Maybe it was injury to Justin Fields. Let's go with that. Don't matter what it is. He became QB1. Something he was not supposed to be in Pittsburgh. And what happened? Russell Wilson led them to the playoffs. And people question what really happened to their end for the quest for the division or whatever, the division game. People question what really happened there. They said it wasn't Russ. So Russ being held back to QB2, it didn't work out. He became QB1, balled out. They went to the playoffs. And guess what? He got forced right out of Pittsburgh, didn't he? To a team that has never had a black starting quarterback. And yes, they have him on the depth chart at New York as QB1, and they announced it when they took Jackson Dart. These are all black QBs we're talking about here. If it don't happen before the pre-draft, it don't happen. If you don't get publicly humiliated during the draft, then what's gonna happen is something is going to happen to you during when you're playing, unless you're quiet and they don't see you. But if you're famous like Shedeur, they don't want you to ascend to QB1 because everybody's going to see you. They don't want you to take the credit for the winning, which is why people say that's what happened to Lamar Jackson down in Baltimore. They didn't want him to get the Super Bowl, and they wanted the hero to be who? They wanted the hero to be the person that was messing up well before halftime. So was it really about him being a hero, or he was the one chosen to take the team down? Black quarterbacks in the NFL have the toughest road because they are not wanted. They are not appreciated. If they have any type of brain, any type of confidence, any type of sense of self, any type of celebrity, you are not desired. I looked at the top 10 draft picks. I don't know none of them outside of Travis. But if Shedeur was on that list, it would be bigger than life. Because Shedeur has that aura. He has that personality that people gravitate towards. Shedeur is actually not like his dad, even though he is like his dad. Same, but different. Shedeur moves differently. He's actually a quiet individual. And they chose to hurt him because just like in 2024, the top 10 had 3 elite black QBs. They didn't want that in this top 10 in 2025 because one of them is Shedeur Sanders. And even though Cam was one and he could start, Milroe and Shedeur would be 17 and 18, 17 of 32 black quarterbacks. So when Shady says that the NFL was just trying to teach Shedeur a lesson, let's move on, that's false. That covers up, hopefully, what Discovery can get next to. The truth. Emails, text messages, phone calls from the last draft to this one. That's why I have wished it had gone on to post-draft. But since I say the plot was hatched before the Super Bowl, before that night when Roger Goodell told Shedeur Sanders, I'm worried about your pops, before, and Discovery does include the dates during the time when Mel Kiper Jr. had the NFL insider tell him that the NFL does not want quarterbacks like Shedeur, which was before the combine. Then there are notes from the combines, there are text messages from the combine. They called him cocky. To me, that's when the plan went publicly into place to begin to publicly defame him. So by the time they got to the draft, y'all would think that he wasn't good. So when we don't draft him in the first round, it's no question about it. Again, a flawed strategy and rationale. It's not taken into account of Shedeur's talent and how there's nothing you could do to smother it, because he could, like Warren Moon, go to Canada and ball out. I just wish there was a new league that was black owned. I do. And it could happen. They're the majority of the talent. Why not? So right here, Jalen Milroe is QB2. So this is where the attention is going to turn to. I want you to start listening if they talk about it, what's going on with Milroe. The same thing that happened in the draft should be beginning to repeat itself. People are saying that Jacksonville is starting to try to show that Travis is problematic rather than admitting that Trevor Lawrence is just not that good. I told y'all Travis wasn't safe. I told you the difference between Travis and Shedeur is Travis is not a quarterback. So when you move Travis out the way, who do you have left? You need to look at Cam Ward. He signed his fully guaranteed contract. He got his money. He made it out the draft without publicly humiliation and being devalued. That was Shedeur and Milroe. So will Cam Ward end up like Caleb Williams, excessively sacked? They got to fix him. Will he end up like Penix? Let me bet you behind this veteran. Or will he go on like Jada Daniels? We shall see. So let's see who's in the comments. Let's see who's in here. Yeah, people in the comments are talking about congratulations to Cam, but they robbed Shedeur under the comments. Hey, Kimberly, how you doing? Hey, Kimberly. What you think about the new Colorado team? Elijah, I have to look at it. One thing I do know is that it said Colorado is committed to the trenches. We know who the QBs are. I need to see who our DBs are. I know we still have Preston Hodge. We still have DJ McKinney. We lost Colton Hood. Let's see. We lost Jalen Wester too. Now, as far as linebacker, I think that's the area. That's the area we're going to have to see because I know we did good with the linemen on offense, but I don't know. Now, I remember the defense guys that came in. They look pretty good. They look pretty good. But to me, that's the area of focus. Then there's the running backs. We lost Augustave. So who did we get? So we need to look at the running backs and we need to look at the linebackers. So we'll have a chance to look at that. Good afternoon. Hey, Jackie. What man has for a bad guy can turn to good? Exactly, Jackie. Exactly. Political ill. Good morning, fam. We keeping it all the way live. Absolutely. Absolutely. The NFL need to stop trying to dim people's light and update their brand in 2025. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm going to pin that. That is exactly what is happening here. They're still using the tactics they used when they banned black quarterbacks 9 decades ago. And they're still trying to hold back black quarterbacks like they did Doug Williams or like they did Warren Moon. Or, they're still trying to put them in harm's way, maybe like they did with Tyrod Taylor. Or, move them around like Geno Smith or publicly humiliate them like C.J. Stroud or Lamar Jackson. That's what they're trying to do. And that's why I said when you look at last year's class, when you look at 2024, they didn't want to repeat top 3 QBs being elite. That would set a trend. See, when it happened in 2024, it's like, oh, okay, that's something. We talk about the draft. And then it repeats itself in the draft. That means the trend is changing from mostly white quarterbacks being drafted high and often to now black elite quarterbacks. And if that continues in the 2025 draft, Cam, Shedeur, and Milroe would have basically cemented and furthered black QB's progress in the NFL, ascending to the majority of the QB1s or the starters. They didn't want that. They didn't want that. That's why when you pay attention to Josh Allen contract, when you pay attention to Brock Purdy's contract, I want you to pay attention to the list now. When it's time for other people to come back up, when it's time for black quarterbacks to come back up, will they be paid $330 million? Lamar, will he get his $330 million? Will he still be in the league by that time? See, when they devalue these guys, they already behind in career earnings of their peers, who most of them are better than. Not all, but a lot, yeah. Josh Rosen came and went. People say that's going to be Shedeur. I don't know why they think that. Shedeur's talent shows you, and his passion for the game and his love for the game shows you he's not going nowhere. He's 10 toes in. That's why I'm proud of him. He could have gone to Canada. But Warren Moon went to Canada because they doubted the black man's intellect. That was the theme back then. That should not be the theme right now. The theme right now is holding back elite black quarterbacks in the first round so that they don't start. Before that, when Michael Penix Jr. and the class before him, C.J. Stroud, the theme was, these young quarterbacks coming out of college, the elite ones going top of the draft. Oh, no, they're not good enough to start. They're not good enough to start. But then they were. C.J. Stroud proved that. Lamar Jackson proved that. So what happened? Excessive sacks. Look how Justin Fields was treated. Look how Bryce Young was treated. That's where the excessive sacks come from. And when you look at the last 3 years, the top 3 QBs to be sacked excessively are all black, number one. That's 369 are all black. And 2 are veterans. The rest are rookies. Russell Wilson, 100 times he was sacked. And he wearing an orange jersey, so that tell me he was in Denver. And Geno Smith, who was moved around from team to team to team, is labeled as trash. Russell Wilson, after last season, even taking Pittsburgh to trash, they said his career was over, that he needs to retire. That's a lie. Russell Wilson had the second highest QB rating of all of the veterans. Sam Darnold was first. Russell Wilson was second, but he had to go interview for jobs. Sam Darnold got moved from Minnesota to Pittsburgh. Technically, he could have stayed in Minnesota. He went from Minnesota to Seattle with a $100 million contract, a number that Geno Smith still has not reached in career earnings. This is about quarterbacks. It's not a prime tax. It's not about Shedeur. This is about black quarterbacks ascending to becoming the majority of the starters, because that is the theme. That is the trend. 3 black quarterbacks taken top 10 first round in 2024. 3 black quarterbacks taken first round 2025. And then the class that CJ Stroud was in, I think it was Anthony Richardson, maybe CJ. I need to look at that class between Lamar Jackson and CJ Stroud to see when the trend started with the top 10 changing from white QBs to black QBs, because there was a class with Drake May in it. So I need to look at that, because if the trend started 2 years ago, that's why it was so extreme with Shedeur, because this was definitely going to put them over the top with Milroe being 18 and Shedeur being 17. Y'all notice in the draft, Milroe was never really talked about. Hell, neither was Cam Ward, but Shedeur wouldn't have worked at 16. There's no way they could have justified taking Shedeur at 16 to Tennessee and 17 taking Cam, because people would have been like, well, why you snub him? They don't have no story. Shedeur and Coach Prime, the story worked, and the bonus is they get to tag on and attack what they shouldn't even care about, the college program, because let them tell it. What you did in college don't matter. So why are you out here trying to meddle with the college program at CU? There's a lot going on in that draft, and most of it was wrong. Most of it was wrong. And it was all a strategy to try to manipulate how many black starting quarterbacks there are in 2025. And it worked, because they held it off at 16, going by their strategy of who's going in the first round, because they don't think Shedeur, because he's fit, he's good enough. Just because you say somebody's not good enough and you push them down in the draft does not mean they're actually not good enough. That is so flawed and irrational. Just because you say the sky is yellow does not mean it's yellow. The sky is what color it actually is. Shedeur's talent is already proven, and you trying to rip it apart and defame his character is not going to do anything to his talent. Young, black, gifted, and wealthy. And that is why we're looking at this depth chart, because Milroe is sitting here at 2. So now the attention going to turn to how they stop him from becoming QB1. Because if Sam Darnold get hurt and they can't control that, they cannot control that. Another flawed strategy. Put him at QB2. Push him down in the draft. They even said, oh, Milroe not going to see the field this year. It's already started. How do you know Milroe not going to see the field this year? You know that Sam Darnold has bionic bones? They are going based off what they think they can control. You can't control if that Sam Darnold get hurt or not. And from who I see, what they're going to do, bring up, is that Drew Luck? What, they going to make him the starter if Sam Darnold get hurt? They are already starting when Milroe is concerned to keep him from QB1. Oh, he's not going to even see the field this year. God damn, who the hell are y'all? Shedeur was right. They trying to play God. You can't say that Milroe is not going to get the start, because you don't know what's going to happen to Sam Darnold. Why do you think you know this? They come up with strategies based off if everything goes their way, the way they see it, from their perspective. That is so flawed. That is to assume that you are God, and there is no God, and every final answer rests with you. But they should know that that's not the case, because they tried their hardest to switch Lamar Jackson off the wide receiver. Push him down in the draft, publicly humiliated. They succeeded at that until Coach Prime asked him after the draft how he feel. I'm just happy to be a Baltimore Raven. So it didn't work. It didn't need to happen, but he didn't let it get to him, just like Shedeur. And Isaac Newsom was the one that made that happen. And people said Mike Tomlin should have done that for Shedeur Sanders. And I agree. They need to stop trying. They need to stop trying to play God. That's what the NFL needs to stop doing. They need to stop trying to play God. Because, trying to control black quarterbacks to the point of submission is ridiculous. Devaluing them does not mean they will not rise and ascend to QB1 like Jalen Hurts. Publicly humiliating them will not break their spirits, so you can put that buck breaking in the past where it belongs. They're not going to be submissive. They just going to keep their lives private as they should. And the reporters can keep harassing them, but they are going to be unfazed. So everything that they are trying to throw at them, nothing is sticking. So yes, they need to stop trying to play God. That's exactly what it is. Well, we'll find out if Aaron Rodgers was consulted. Yes, let's see what we find out. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this discovery. You notice it's not being talked about by the media, not even really being whispered. It's actual media outlets that I told y'all about, that like USA Today and the LA Times. It's these news media, I would say, not sports media. The actual journalistic news media is talking about it. Sports media act like they don't know what's going on. And that means that they think because they don't talk about it, it's not going to get talked about or it's not going to go anywhere. Playing God. That shows you that sports media is the right hand of the NFL. It's funny how Shedeur is the topic of every major sports show on the major networks. Right, finding your 40. Exactly, because he has that aura. And 3 million fans and followers. So there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Let's see who else is here. Blue Moon, the league folded. Oh, they talking about. I love how they have conversations. Hit the like button for me. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. You need to show a pattern of behavior proof. Yep. Right. And it's out there. It's out there. It's out there. It's actually out there. Thank you, Political Lil. Warren Moon was that guy. Yep. And they basically he avoided being devalued by going to Canada because of their racist practices and policies. And that was this late 70s, and then they settled this lawsuit in 2021. Let's see if they settle this lawsuit that's out here now. Because that was $100 billion with the B. This is 100. No, that was $1 billion. It should have been $100 billion. That was $1 billion. This lawsuit, I believe, is $100 million. So let's see if they choose to settle rather than go through discovery. Let's see how they treat the discovery. Warren Moon was that dude. Yep. What's crazy to me is that no one talks about the Mannies have no playing time, but junk time, and they say he's going first round. Right, and he's not even coming out next year. And Gracie sent me an article. Thank you, Gracie. I got several articles from Tina, Charlotte, Jerry, and Gracie. Gracie sent me an article talking about how Cleveland, of all organizations, are basically not taking any of these quarterbacks seriously, which is why their quarterback room is a travesty, because they really want to position themselves for number 1 next year to get Arch Manning. Now, from what I have seen, the Mannies run the Giants. That's from what I've seen. That pipeline from Ole Miss, that's the Mannies. It's just that the grandson chose UT. And I'm pretty sure, and I told y'all this. I said, I understand the Giants not wanting to take a quarterback in the first round because they did not, right? Because why? They didn't want to get a rookie quarterback to have for 4 years or to trade off when it's time for Manning to come out of school, which is supposedly not next year, but not 2026, but in 2027. So I said, cool, y'all saving his place. I have no problem with that. But you don't defame and devalue Shedeur Sanders and publicly humiliate him and do all of that so you could keep Manning's spot. You could have just not drafted a quarterback in the first round, just like you did. And if it's because your job is on the line, maybe it's a sign of already incompetence and you like already on the hot seat, so you can't make another bad decision. But you made a horrible decision by trying to publicly defame, lie on Shedeur Sanders and try to make people believe that you know who he was when he was already proven to us as to who he was. That was the mistake you made, not being good at your job and choosing to take this job and make decisions based on preference rather than talent in what is supposed to be a competitive league. And when hear people say the NFL is pure entertainment, it's also a competitive sport. So while y'all trying to shift it to WWE wrestling, it's still a competitive sport until you tell the fans before they pony up all this money for these tickets. Preseason tickets in Atlanta start at $5. So if y'all want to go to the first preseason game, I think it's the Falcons versus the Lions in Atlanta or whoever they playing, $5. So to me, if the tickets are $5, we should definitely see their draft players play. So there you go. That what unity is about. We gonna rumble when it's time to rumble. Yep, that's facts. That's facts. I have way more doubts about Milroe than Shedeur. Way more. Actually, Michael Smith, I feel like Milroe actually had a good showing at his pro day. That's where the comparison before that, but the comparison after running a 4.35 and already being compared to Lamar Jackson, there's one QB that they don't say he's comparable to that I'm gonna say it, and they know he is. But how do you push down and devalue if this is a competitive league and teams are built to win, to vie for the Super Bowl? How do you devalue Jalen Milroe with 4.37 speed, already QB comps, Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick? If the fans saw Jalen Milroe as the next Michael Vick, there's no way he does not make it into the first round. There's no way he doesn't make it into the first round. He was also devalued because he's an elite QB1, that was pushed down so he doesn't become part of that majority. Number 18. That's why in the pre-draft, they barely talked about Milroe. They barely talked about Milroe. They had Milroe going to the Saints at number 40 in the first mock draft. They robbed Shedeur of $49 million because the Giants didn't want a black QB. Right. I don't think the Giants wanted any QB, but they didn't want to get Shedeur in the first round for sure. And why? Because he's good. I don't need that anybody in that spot because I'm saving that spot. And I'm not saving it for 2026. I'm also saving it for the class of 2027 because supposedly he's not coming out, which means they willing to be lousy until he come out of school. And now all teams, even the Saints are supposedly vying for Arch Manning. I'm like, isn't that interesting? The organization that I say they run, which is the Giants, and the organization which the Mannings have a legacy, Archie Manning has a legacy, all vying with Cleveland for the grandson who is not even coming out this year, but in 2027 or maybe after that, depending on how he plays. You got to see how he plays because Quinn Ewers actually could have come out not last year. And I said he should have, but he stayed, and you see he got devalued. So he QB2 behind Tua, which could actually possibly work for him. Unfortunately, it might not work for Tua because I think one more concussion and he out of there. So we got to see how that goes. If you see the league making moves to move Tua out the way, then devaluing Quinn Ewers or he getting his money in some other kind of way, devaluing Quinn Ewers was to get him on a team where he could start behind a player who's not 100% guaranteed. Brian Daboll lied on Shedeur, the head coach of the Giants. he was scared Dion would get his job, and he knew the Giants did want a black QB anyway. I'm gonna say this, okay, and understand this: Brian Daboll does not have the authority to go on a public defamation campaign against an elite QB1 prospect, first round prospect, without the NFL's consent. Understand that. Understand that. He would have been fired already if they didn't have a hand in it. DIs, they did, but Shedeur will make it back a 10. It's not about him making his money back. It's about what was wrong being fixed and damages being compensated. So yeah, he can make his money from endorsements. Cool. But he should have $49 million or $43 million or $41 million. Let's just go with 40. And they say the signing bonus is part of that. So $40 million with a good chunk of it guaranteed, plus his endorsements. It shouldn't be not in lieu. No. Plus, they need to fix that. They need to fix that. And see, personally, these lawsuits, I would just fix it. But see, I'm a rational person. I'm not out here trying to play God. I'm out here going, okay, this shit getting close and hot to me. So you know what? Let me fix this. I don't even have to wait that long because I'm not gonna do nobody no wrong like that. You know why? Because I believe in God, and I know karma is real, and I know when you start meddling in other people's lives, that your shit gonna blow up. I don't have to break my back to know it hurt. I can learn from other people. I'm with you. Start your own league. Right. And to me, that's what should come out of this. That's what should come out of this. Because what were fans saying under I think Tina sent me the email that one of the YouTubers posted about the lawsuit in more detail. Under the comments, I saw the comments and I liked the comments. Yeah, we don't want to see this happen to another person. So imagine when I do turn on my TV, I see JuJu Lewis. And I was like, yeah, we're not going to be able to stomach seeing them treat JuJu or Kaden Salter this way. So the lawsuit was filed justly. No fans want to see this happen to another quarterback or another NFL player, but it's happening to quarterbacks. And we're thinking about our quarterbacks, young JuJu and Kaden coming out. And although Kaden haven't been with us that long, the point is we don't want to see that happen to him. And we don't want to sit through another attempt to try to ruin CU's recruiting. Because if they don't care about what you did in college, then they need to mind their goddamn business and stop meddling with a successful program. There's no justification for that. All right, y'all, we're going to get out of here. 1 minute, 8 seconds. Everybody got to get back. Thank you. So we are friends of Jalen Milroe, just like we are friends of Cam Ward. We see Milroe right here on the depth chart at QB2. Milroe comparable to who? Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick. Or Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson. See, when you say it that way, the QB comps for Milroe are Michael Vick. People like, whoa, wait, what? But when you hear Lamar Jackson, you're like, oh, okay. But when you hear Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson, that's when you lean in. You want to see this person. He should be getting just as much credit as Shedeur should be getting and Cam Ward. And I kept telling y'all, they barely talk about Cam Ward. They talked about Cam Ward when it came to Shedeur. And they barely talked about Milroe, but all three of them are elite. And the league could be huge this year. With those three elite QBs going in the first round, starting at QB1s, we will all be sitting up talking about, wait a minute, so when do the Seahawks or wherever, or the Saints or whoever Milroe should have went to at QB1? But they had him at QB2 from the jump because they tried to say he was trash in college, and that was just to get Jackson Dart in front of him. And how is Milroe trash, but Jackson Dart not trash, and their QBR ratings are 0.2% apart. 0.2. 0.02. 0.2. The point is, they the same QBs if that's the case. But no, everybody talked about Milroe's Oklahoma game, but no, with his interceptions, but nobody talked about Jackson Dart last game where he threw 4 interceptions? Because that's their preference. Milroe is their preference. It is not a coincidence he comes out of Ole Miss, which has that Manning connection. To where? The Giants. And it's not a coincidence the prank came from the Ole Miss connection. And who has a connection in the NFL from Ole Miss? The Giants. Targeted discovery, we stand on top of that. We want to see the NFL's response to the targeted discovery. Milroe, QB2, we're gonna see the campaign that's already started. Oh, Milroe not gonna see the field this year. How the hell you know that? We're gonna stay on top of that because that will make Milroe the 17th of 32. And y'all know when I say 17 to 32, I don't want to have to keep saying it. That will make Milroe 17 to 32. Black starting quarterbacks. So instead, that's what you call delayed, not denied. That's exactly what that is. Because they tried to deny Shedeur the 17 to 32. They moved Milroe out the way. They thinking he wouldn't make it. That QB2 would just be enough for him. They already going in and saying he's not going to see the field this year. Delayed, not denied. 17 to 32 could be Milroe. Because in Cleveland, they still fighting Shedeur on being a starter. Even though he could start. What does Cleveland come out and say? Oh, we're going to give the reps in OTAs, I think May 27th, next week, to Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel. Okay, delayed, not denied. So they pushed Shedeur so far down, thinking, oh, he's not going to make it to QB1. But then there's Milroe right there at QB2 already, just like Jalen Hurts. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. If we thought like we do today, we would, no, everybody don't think like that. Everybody don't think like that. So, that is what it is. Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. We can talk about Trevor Lawrence because I said it already. I don't know when you joined us, T-Rod, but fans are starting to say out of Jacksonville. Anybody in Jacksonville? If you in Jacksonville, drop Jacksonville in the chat. If you plan on going to Jacksonville games, drop Jacksonville in the chat. It's already being said that the Jaguars are making it appear, or maybe it's the media. It's somebody down there in Jacksonville media or Jacksonville Jaguars trying to make Travis look like the problem rather than the problem actually being Trevor Lawrence, something that they know already is problematic. Somebody they know already is problematic. So we got Trevor Lawrence now. Y'all want to talk about them? We'll go down that road too. Tonight we'll be back at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We just talking tonight as I put together the next case study will be Vince Young. And we will look to see we will review Vince Young's experience and time and journey in the NFL as a Black quarterback. All right. Or as a quarterback in general. And we're going to see what comes of that. That is similar to the rest of the Black quarterbacks. All right, y'all. So I'm going to give y'all a moment to, Peter, Jacksonville. All right, y'all. We got somebody in Jacksonville. Peter is in Jacksonville. All right, Peter. I want you to definitely make sure you have my email address. What she said 404@gmail.com. You can grab it out the bio, or if somebody want to copy and paste it in the chat. Let me see if I can do it right fast. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. All right. I think I can type it. Let's see. Yep. What she said 404@gmail.com. That is exactly it. And here we go right here. Let's see if I'm trying to see if I can snag it. Here it is right here. Copy. All right. Perfect. Okay. So I'm putting my email in the chat. Peter, if you are still there, please make sure you give my email. Email me any pertinent information, relevant, insightful, or noteworthy coming out of Jacksonville. I would appreciate it if you could do that. If anybody else keeps their posts that close to the scene that they know what's going on with Jacksonville, maybe you're a fan, please do the same thing. I put my email address in there so y'all can send me emails on things that y'all think will, be good to know. Imagine going 144 and still ending up in the Browns, a franchise notorious for ruining talent, right? And with articles coming out and saying what? That it looks like they're buying, they don't care about this quarterback class, that it's a travesty, that it's probably going to end up being a travesty. And they could end up with the first round pick. That this could be what this is all about, why they don't really care. And this is why the mayor in Cleveland said they don't care if the Browns move away. I don't blame him. You can't be mad at that. How you going to be mad because the mayor of the city of Cleveland said that they don't care if one of the worst franchises in the NFL moves away? You know what he said? We have more important things in Cleveland to focus on. They need to be sold to someone else who actually wants to win. So I'm not mad at the mayor in Cleveland. I say that's the way it should be. So, here we go. All right, I'm just looking at y'all's comments. So, it's just one of those things that, and I'm going to say this. Y'all got to be respectful in the chat. Oh, yeah, somebody got to go because I can't have my chat in shambles because people are arguing. You can always debate respectfully. So, okay, y'all. We're going to get out of here so people can get back. All right. I'm going to say have a good day. Have an awesome day. Make it awesome. Don't just wait for it to happen. Make it awesome. And I'll see y'all tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good one.